mean, you can't ship that much. That's big numbers coming in.
Like for example, Matsuyama went from 25 to 1 to 20 to 1. Adam Scott went from 80 to 1 to 70 to 1.
Okay.
For the purposes of I have a little like draft thing we're gonna do that I think will be fun.
Yes.
For the purposes of that, we can just use the numbers I have already, and then I'll mention at the top like these numbers have changed slightly.
I don't know what's going on with my camera thing, microphone thing at Kirsten Bolton, but it's not working. So that's why I was dark as me.
That's all right. I can see you now.
Yeah.
Nice shark t-shirt.
Shark shirt.
Is that for Greg Norman?
No, it is not. We're walking the dogs one day, and we walk by this little girl, and she goes, "I really like your shark." I was like, "Is that the cutest thing you've ever heard?"
Let me get my water.
Cup of coffee.
Shark bait. Hoo-ha-ha.
All right, welcome to Gary Williams Stole My Lawn Furniture. I'm going right into it. I have a serious question. What the fuck is the purpose of a sleeveless hoodie?
I don't know. We've been trying to figure that out with Bill Belichick for years.
Have a hood. You're not cold. You're not warm. Not raining. It's stupid.
Sometimes you just want your head. Sometimes you just want your head covered, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like in a poncho form that would work, but yeah, as a sweatshirt, it doesn't make much sense.
Doesn't make any sense. And if it's raining, you're now heavier. So if you watch this podcast and you wear a sleeveless hoodie, stop watching. We don't want your viewership. Thank
you. Vests are okay, but if you put a hood on it, we're done. Yeah. No Pat McAfee. Yeah. All right. Since we're in it now, you guys want to? We can start talking about the Orioles. There was a really weird, dreary kind of series in Pittsburgh this weekend. Blew a couple games late. We're 5-4 to start the year, though. Things are looking as good as they could in the down on the farm, but we'll get to that in a bit. We'll talk about the Pittsburgh series here. Me and Brooks were in Kentucky this weekend, so we didn't get to watch a ton of it, but we did watch a little bit of it, and we were following it on our phones. We saw the late game, whatever the opposite of late game heroics is from our bullpen. What did you think, Brad? Did you get to watch a couple of these games?
It seems like a team that's searching for themselves, really. I mean, the hitting's not really coming around yet. I don't know whether it's time to worry or not. But it just seems like a team that's feeling themselves out. The bullpen is definitely an issue. There is no hiding that whatsoever. Kimbrel looks like a 4A ball player right now, not a major league. I don't really know what's going on in terms of the bullpen, but the hitting needs to come around. I'm not panicking. There's no reason to panic. Still 5-4. Pittsburgh's a pretty decent squad too.
Yeah.
They've started the year great. So I'm still not terribly concerned. I see everybody on Twitter freaking out right now, but most of it's because we're not calling up guys, but it'll be fine. Stop freaking out. We're not going to run ourselves out of the playoffs right now. And honestly, like half of our lineup is cold right now. So, I mean, when stuff starts clicking, well, I mean, you saw it click in the first two games, right? I mean, it'll come back. It's going to be ebbs and flows. It's not going to be
Yeah,
we're
this
not
stuff
gonna be scorching hot all the time. So,
this
but
stuff is cyclical. It'll come around. It's definitely going to come around. Don't freak out. And these people that are on Twitter and all this, all these people that talk with their thumbs because they don't have actual personalities. You know, the guys that are up were the guys that were in the minors that were crushing back in the day. So you can't just supersede them and bring in new guys. They're good ball players.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, sorry. Go ahead, Brooks.
I was just gonna say. I mean, we understand why Jackson Holiday's down. It's a business decision at this point. The other guys are eventually going to get called up here, probably in the near future if stuff continues. But as of right now, I mean, you can't just sit here and play the game where like somebody has like. Unfortunately, there's multiple players having a bad series at the same time. We can't play the game where once a guy has a bad series, we're sending him down or bringing somebody up to take a spot, or nobody's going to get consistent at bats. So
yeah. The most important thing right now is to keep getting people consistent at bats. If we have guys who are continuing to hit 077 a month into the season, then yeah, maybe we start looking at that kind of thing. But look, it's been 2 weeks, guys. Like we're gonna be all right. The Yankees are 9-2, but it's not sustainable. Marcus Stroman hasn't given up a run yet in his 2 starts. That's not going to continue. Yeah, he's a great pitcher, but he's not the kind of pitcher that's going to go out there and throw blanks up every inning.
Aaron.
I do want to talk about the back end of the bullpen real quick, though. I have some Cano numbers. Cano came into close one of the games and couldn't get through it. Cano's had 8 saves and 14 opportunities last year, which is not great. His career ERA in the 7th inning in 13 innings is 2.02. In 43 innings in the 8th, his career ERA is 2.09. And his career ERA in 27 innings in the 9th is 5.9. So this is a guy that just, for whatever reason, doesn't have it in the 9th inning. He's great in the 7th and 8th, and that's a super valuable thing to have. But if he's going to be thrown out there in the 9th inning, that's not going to be a great thing for us. If Kimbrel can't throw 2 games in a row, I think that's going to be a little bit of an issue. So I do think the bullpen needs work. Also, Mike Baumann, I just don't want to watch him throw sliders, 8 sliders in a row, or whatever he did ever again. That was just ridiculous. You throw 96 miles an hour, dude. Pitch to your strength.
Yeah. I mean, Yanier Cano is Ramiro Mendoza in 2024. He is a setup man. He is not a closer. Yeah. And Mike Baumann needs to cut his hair and just figure out what the fuck he's doing. Because he stopped throwing sliders or sweepers, whatever the fuck they call it now. Yeah. Just throw a fucking fastball.
Yeah, I really think that I think hopefully Cano has kind of worked himself out of this 9th inning role. I think they just gave him another chance here at the beginning of this year. We all know it didn't go well at the end of last year when he was in there. I truly think that once Dylan Tate gets his shit figured out here in the beginning of the year, because he's still very fresh off of an injury and starting to actually get some live reps, he could take over that role where Kimbrel, when he can't go a couple days in a row. I thought Kimbrel, maybe I'm misremembering or mixing up 2 games. Didn't he go 2 games in a row, and that's why he didn't go the 3rd game?
I think you're right.
No, not as far. You could be right, but as far as
I thought he did like the last game of the Royals, then he did Pittsburgh, and then he didn't do the first game of Pittsburgh. And I could be mixing that up. I'd have to look it up. But still, yeah, it's if he's not going to, that's an issue. And maybe there's something going on there where his arm's bothering him or something. We don't know. We don't know the conversations going on between the 2 of them. But yeah, I really think that Dylan Tate's going to take over that other piecemeal closer spot as Kimbrel either hopefully gets better, which I think he will. I still have confidence in him. He still has. I mean, we saw. I still think there's a flash there. He still can help us, but yeah, we need somebody. We need a little bit more consistency out of the back end right now. And we need to score more runs, to be honest with you. I saw a couple people on Twitter also say like, "Hey, we're scoring enough runs to win." I'm like, "No, we're we've put up we're averaging like 3 or 4 runs a game or something, right around 4 in the last however many games since we've been slumping. Like that's not going to do it in today's baseball game. Maybe back in the day, but when we were playing, that was a more viable number. But I mean, hitters are ridiculous. I don't think that's enough runs to win a bunch of games. So
I can't even believe these words are coming out of my mouth, but for the first time, and I believe other than Buck Showalter, I'm confident that the Orioles will do the right thing. And it used to be they would not. And so I'm very confident they'll figure it out, and they're not going to panic. I mean, they're as calm as Brooks's dog is behind him right now. So did you give that dog a tranquilizer or something? What the hell's that?
She's dead. She's been laying there since I got home, so I might need to take her over it. I'm just kidding. She's good. Nappy time here. The eclipse has everybody thrown off.
Look, we're going to look to get back on track today. Corbin Burns is starting today against Boston. We got a little afternoon businessman special on a what is it, Monday, Tuesday?
What's the reason for the day game? Is it their opener, or is it what do they call it, Boston Day or whatever?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
I think it is their opener, actually.
Okay. It might be because the next 2 games are not day games, I don't believe.
Damn, that's a late home opener in the season. Like 10 games.
Yeah, I think it was Pittsburgh's home opener. Yeah, because the next 2 games are 7:00.
I think Boston started on the West Coast. Maybe I'm mixing that with Pittsburgh. One of the two. They started on the West Coast. That's why it took them so long to get back for their home opener.
Either way, I like day games. Day games are awesome.
Yeah, day games are sweet during the week, especially when you have Corbin Burns and you want to watch him pitch as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, we're looking to get back on track. Like I said, the Yankees are 9-2. I don't think it's sustainable. Soto and Volpe are kind of just going insane right now. Judge isn't even having that great of a start to the season, but without Garrett Cole, I don't think that pitching staff's going to hold up over the course of a long season. We want to talk about the Norfolk Tides because they're probably the best minor league baseball team of all time. They're off to the start to have one. They scored over 100 runs in their first 9 games, which is just outrageous. Everyone in the top of the lineup's putting up video game numbers. Kierstad had like 24 RBIs in his first 7 games or something like that, like averaging over 3 RBIs per game. Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? Are you excited about the future of Orioles baseball or what?
If you're not excited, you don't have a heart, or it's covered in ice. I mean, realistically, I can see if Hayes keeps up what he's doing right now in the bigs, I can see Kjerstad coming and taking his role because they're not Hayes, and he's batting
I think
77.
Yeah, I think Hayes, Urias, Kemp, like these kind of guys are guys going to be cycled in and out. I'd like to keep Mateo all year, even just on the bench as a utility man. He's the best base running defensive versatile weapon you can have, basically. But I understand, like we were just talking about, we don't need to panic. Urias and Hayes have been here for a while, so get them their at bats. Give them an opportunity to show that they're still the player that they have been. And if they don't over the course of a month or 2, then there you go. Then you can start pulling some of these guys up from AAA.
Yeah, and Dust and I were talking on our trip as we were watching some of these games. This is obviously a rough start for Hayes, but he might. I mean, if he doesn't turn it around, he might be playing himself out of the spot here soon. But obviously, they're still going to give him a chance here to figure it out and right the ship because when he gets hot, and he was an all-star last year. Let's not forget that.
Yeah,
starting all-star. So they're going to give him a chance to figure it out. If he doesn't, I mean, it's a good thing and a bad thing that the Tides are playing this well, right? Because now everybody's going nuts on Twitter to bring and having no patience whatsoever. But it's also like, man, we have a lot of flexibility to do some things now. And also Tony Kemp, he ain't gonna be here all year. As soon as Jackson Holiday gets pulled up, he's getting DFA'd. or send down or whatever our option is with him. And as far as I really hope Urias gets it going again. If anything, he's going to be there for his defense. But hopefully he can get the back going again, like he had it 2 years ago. But he's also not getting everyday starts either. So a little bit of, and let's also remember, guys, like this is our first series loss. I mean, we won 2 out of 3 series. I know we're 5-4, and the record doesn't look as good as we would like right now, but we've won 2 out of 3 series. So calm it down. We haven't gotten swept. Calm it down.
I mean, for all these social media ass jockeys, we have so many freaking good players. We never had this before. So shut up. Put your thumbs in your pocket.
It's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
It's a good problem to have right now.
This is why we were always so pissed off at like New York sports radio. Like, why are you guys so angry? You guys are good every year, and now we're our fans are doing the same shit, and it just
It's like Philadelphia Eagles fans. Like, we won the Super Bowl, but we didn't win by 30. Like, shut up! You won the damn Super Bowl. You have a Nick Foles statue.
You have a big dick Nick.
They should have a big dick Nick statue. That would be amazing.
A big Johnson Richard.
Other news around the league, we talked about the Yankees a little bit already. UCLs are just dropping like flies. People's elbows just shattering left and right. It doesn't historically, I have some data here since 2010. The first 100 days of the season, the pitchers to have Tommy John, there's 9 this year. It's not necessarily an outlier. When you compare it to all these years, I have a list of them from 2010 to 2014. Most of them are hovering around 5, 8, 9, 11, that kind of thing. It just seems like the pitchers that are getting hurt right now are the top guys. Spencer Strider, most notably, Shane Bieber, who looked excellent in his first 2 starts, both of them out for the year, possibly next year with Tommy John. Yuri Perez, who's a great young pitcher for the Marlins, out. Jonathan Loaizaga, I call him Johnny Lasagna, great relief pitcher for the Yankees the last 3 or 4 years. Throws absolute ched, but he's out 10, 12 months. And Framber Valdez just got pulled from a start, I think last night or tonight. And he's basically been the ace of the Astros staff for the last couple of years, with Verlander being kind of hurt and in and out of that rotation. What do you guys think? Is it just maximization, StatCast problems? Is it are they throwing too many sliders? Are they putting too much stress on their arm one way or the other? What do you think?
With all modern technology today, this is just random. This is pure random. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, how do guys in the 80s not have as many injuries as guys with modern medicine and all the stuff and analytics they have today? Doesn't make any sense.
This is a non-story. This is being made out to be bigger than it is. And I get it. It's something we have to talk about. But it's a non-story. Like I looked at the numbers that Dustin just posted. Like, this is not really even an outlier. I mean, there was more in 2021, 2014. There was more. 2015. There was more. It's just something for the players union to bitch about, because I'm assuming that somebody or one of the guys that got hurt doesn't like the pitch clock that went down a little bit, and that's what they're trying to blame it on right now. And the players union gets to go earn their money to the league and try to get the guys something and make it look like they're doing something. So it's a non-story. It's the pitch clock, guys. 4 seconds, 5 seconds isn't causing Tommy John injuries.
2 seconds, 20 to 18.
Regardless, it's just, it pisses me off so much. Like, it's because guys are just more athletic and throwing harder and focused more on spin rate and everything else right now. And like, what's going to happen when you're wrenching down on your elbow and you're pulling across? You're pulling on this. Like, I mean, if I could sit here, stay behind a ball the entire time, I was telling Dustin, like, if I could sit behind a ball, like as I was pitching, and throw as hard as I could and throw 150 miles an hour, like, my elbow's never going to hurt. But like the spin rate stuff with like sliders, splitters, stuff like that, like when you're actually going like this and moving that muscle right here, that's what's going to hurt it. Like, I've had multiple guys have Tommy John that I've played with and still be able to play the outfield or something during the rest of the season, because if as long as they could stay behind the ball, they might not be throwing as hard and it still might be pretty sore, but they could still throw. But like as soon as they if they get on the side of it at all, that's when it's excruciating.
You're talking
So
about rotation. When you rotate, that's because you're a pitcher. I'm a
yeah,
pushing our position
yeah.
players. That's the
Yeah, like
rotation.
when I'm pulling, like if I'm pulling on a slider from right here, like I'm pulling these fingers on a seam and I'm pulling through this way. It's not a snap. It's like you're literally throwing it like a football almost. And you're pulling from here, right? I mean, that's just where you're pulling from when you're snapping down. Same thing with a splitter, right? So it's inevitable with the big spin rate analysis and all that stuff, and that's where I had majority of my injury stuff too. Like my elbow, I may be speaking out of turn for shoulder stuff, but for UCL stuff that we're seeing that the argument is right now, that's my take and my opinion on it. And yeah, I mean, there's a little bit more this year than there has been the last 2 years at this point. 3 at this point in 2022, 2 at this point in 2023, and it's jumped up back up to 9. But again, 2021 was 11. So I just think this thing's going to be cyclical, especially with guys throwing harder and throwing harder sliders and throwing cutters, which is another one we're getting on the side of the ball. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to call it a non-story because it is a little bit of a story because right now we're at 9 already and we're a month into the season.
Because they're big pitchers, yeah.
You're looking at 27, 30 guys getting Tommy John. Once again, Tommy John should be in the Hall of Fame. But yeah, I mean, you're looking at 30 dudes, and I agree with you, Brooks. I didn't think about it like that, but I never think about it from a pitcher standpoint. So that's good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that just going off what Brooks said, I think the maximization, like we're kind of getting to the point where the human body has reached its peak on how fast it's going to throw a baseball and how much they can spin a baseball. And I think if you're growing up learning how to just try to maximize these stats as opposed to learning how to pitch, this stuff is going to keep happening. I think it starts at Little League, and you just need to reinforce to kids like. I've been saying this at work all week. This is going to be a little off topic maybe, but like Jamie Moyer never threw like 90 miles an hour, but he could throw 85 like every pitch and he could get through games because he knew how to pitch. Yeah. Like there just aren't very many of those guys anymore. They're more throwers than they are pitchers. I mean, obviously there are outliers and these are the very best players in the world. But I think there's an art to learning how to, even if you can throw 99, throw 95 into the zone, hit your spots, and then, if you want to rear back for one here and there, you can.
I would say the modern example of this, who kind of started doing this, is Greinke. Greinke started doing this too because, we all knew that he could still run it up to 98, 99 every once in a while, but he hung around 93. For a while until obviously he got older, but he still played. He played with his velocities a lot, and did a lot of like stepping on the gas a little bit when he needed to. And a lot of stuff now is like taught in the majors. This is another reason because everyone's max effort throwing the ball as hard as they can and every pitch as hard as they can on every single pitch.
Yeah.
I mean, the two guys that come to my mind immediately is Greg Maddux. He used to throw Chet. He used to throw like 96 back in the late 80s, early 90s. And then by the time he was done, he was throwing like 88. I mean, coming from a hitter standpoint, Jamie Moore, let's use Jamie Moore as the example. He's throwing 77 mile an hour sliders, and then he's throwing 85 mile an hour fastball. But because you're looking at 70 and then you see 80, it looks like 95 because it's how slow the previous pitch was. And the modern day example for me is Kershaw. Kershaw was throwing Ched back in the day. And now I think he's like, maxing out at 90, 91, which is still fast. But he was throwing 98, 97 from the left side. And that's terrifying.
Yeah.
And I bet if Kershaw wants to step on the gas a little bit and really like, all right, here's one I really need, like, say he does it like maybe 4 or 5 times a game. Here's what I need to step on the gas. He'll probably run one up to 94 if he really needs to. Up in the zone in or something.
Yep. Yeah. We kind of got off on a tangent a little bit there about that, but look, it's a big deal in Major League Baseball right now. I mean, like I said, some of these top guys in baseball are dropping like flies right now. We're really hoping that doesn't continue, and we're just kind of speculating here on what might be happening, but
Let's just call a spade, man. Pitchers are pitches. All right, that's it.
Yeah.
Pitchers are pitches.
Pitches are pitches. Yep. Let's transition here into college hoops. I want to start with the women's stuff. Brooks and I watched pretty much all of the Iowa UConn Final Four game, which was an unbelievable basketball game.
Oh, Iowa UConn, my bad.
No, the Final Four game, Iowa UConn was an unbelievable basketball game. We watched pretty much all of it. And that illegal screen at the end of the game really, really rubbed me the wrong way. It was just like such a great game, and then all of a sudden there's just like this blemish on at the end of the game. Brian, did you see that?
I did. That was a trash call. Paige Becker was already around the screen. The screen didn't matter at all. That is a trash call. You can make it it's like holding in the NFL. You can call it whenever the hell you want. That was stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you want to look at the technicality of the rule, like, was it the correct technical call? Like, yes, but it was such a fucking tiny, minuscule, movement, if you want to call it, and it had no effect on the floor. Like, you got to have a little bit of situational awareness here as a ref, and you got to swallow your whistle and let that play out. And Dustin and I they really robbed us of an awesome moment there, because, I mean, Paige never even took that shot. Like, does she make that shot? I want to know if she makes that fucking shot. That would be awesome. And if she does, they go up 1, and now Caitlin gets a chance to respond and be like, all right, is she going to step up and beat Caitlin Clark and make this shot and take the lead back? Like, they really ruined us of a great ending of that game.
Yeah.
Just sucks all around.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks all around. It happens all the time in football. The end of the game, like Brian said, the holding call or the pass interference call, maybe it is a holding call, but you're not going to call that 9 times out of 10, especially at the end of the game.
Not ticky-tack stuff. Like, if it's egregious, yes. Like, yeah, sure. If it's egregious, yes. But like ticky-tack stuff, like stuff where you're like, maybe, probably, is it affecting? No. Like, this is why I love Gene's Therator, because he's very much of the mindset, like, hey, you need to think about the moment and how this is affecting the game. Like, is it actually affecting the game?
Yeah, agreed.
Gene Steratore used to ref Big Ten basketball games when I went to Maryland. It was awesome. I used to see him at Maryland, and then he would be reffing the Ravens like the next day. It was sweet.
When the referees had a strike, the Ravens had a Thursday night game, and the referees had come back. That's after that Fail Mary with Seattle and the Packers.
Yeah.
Gene Steratore ref the Thursday night game. The referees had just come off a strike, and then the next day I went to a Maryland basketball game, and he was reffing a Big Ten basketball game. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Man,
I love Gene's Therator.
Yeah, he was a man.
I would have put it down. Put it down in my book that Gene Steratore is the GOAT of referees. He is the best of all time.
Best referee of all time. Ed Hockley is going to come chokehold you, give you a chokehold.
I don't care. I'm a Gene guy.
I want the guy. If you ever look at the video of that African American referee goes, he was down there giving him the business. That's my
I love that guy too. Yeah. Quickly we'll go through the Iowa SC game. Caitlin Clark went crazy in the first quarter of this game, and then South Carolina just kind of took over and dominated the rest of the game. It's sort of similar to what happened with UConn. And Purdue. Edey kind of went off in the first portion of the game, was getting whatever he wanted, and then UConn just kind of settled in and just showed everyone why they're the best team in the country. And I think that's what South Carolina did. Look, they were 37-0 this year. They've won multiple championships in the last few years. They had the most talent, and the center they had in sign was dominant in that game.
The thing I took away from both games is coaching makes so much of a difference in college basketball. I mean, you could see Dawn Staley shifted. I don't know the woman's name who she switched to defend Caitlin Clark. Basically shut her down. She went 5 for 19, I think, for the rest of the game after the first quarter. And then Danny Hurley, no matter how much of a quirk he is, he made some adjustments during the game to shut down Edey, and it really made a difference. And so I really think the coaching won 2 national titles.
Yeah. I think Dustin and I were talking. Like, I think you even said it too. I can't remember that like Dan Hurley definitely rubs all of us the wrong way, I believe, but like there's no denying that he's a great coach.
Mhm.
Yeah,
He's an
you can see it
unbelievable
right
coach.
away.
As much as you think he's a douchebag, he's a whiner. Like he's a great coach. And then back to the USC Iowa game. Um, yeah, it's hard when like their center is 6'7" and the tallest guy that Iowa has to defend her is 6'3". Like
Yeah.
and you never see 6'7" women. Like everybody else in the tournament, their tallest person was probably 6'4". Like
Yeah.
that's got to be. I mean, that's tough.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
tough. I mean, I was gonna say it would have been tough for UConn last night, which it was. Edie went off. I mean, I think he had 30 some points, 10 boards. I think he had like 5 blocks in the first half.
But
But
UConn has two
look,
7-footers though.
yeah, UConn has those 2 7-footers they could throw at him, but also they kind of knew, I think, going into the game, Edie was going to get his, and I think their goal going into the game was to play very good perimeter team defense, and I think Hurley was pushing that the whole time because Purdue couldn't even get threes off. I think they had only had like 5 3-pointers attempted, like halfway through the fourth quarter until they started chucking them up, trying to come back at the end. So
Yeah.
yeah, they couldn't get open shots at all around the perimeter, and I think that's what Hurley probably went into the game saying, "Look, we're the better team, and if they don't win a 3-point shooting contest, they can't beat us. So this is what we're gonna do." And just
Stepping aside real
and
quick,
then
this is package delivered. I'll be right back, guys.
okay,
yeah,
you good?
and then it seemed like Brian was saying, like how we made an adjustment at halftime. Then it seemed like he was like, all right, now's the time we take away Edie.
Yeah,
Because he didn't do much, and I mean he obviously still got his, but it wasn't like the first half. And then I
yeah,
saw he scored 37, I believe 37 of their 60 points.
correct. Yeah, he scored like
So
almost
six,
60% of their points.
yeah, I think you probably saw the same graphic I did, like 62%
Yeah,
of their points or something like that. But I mean, that's honestly, they kind of played right into Dan Hurley's game plan. Like, if you think about it, if that was his game plan, like let Edie get his. Hopefully, one of our guys can bang with him to keep him under control the first half to as much as you can, and
yeah,
not let them shoot threes. And then we're like, all right, let's take away their best player, and then hopefully they're not going to make. Hopefully they're just out of rhythm,
yeah. He kind
and
of
they
lulled him
still,
to sleep in
but
the first half.
and they started chucking up threes, but they still they're still trying to feed Edie, which they definitely should have, but.
Yeah,
That's when UConn was like, all right, now's the time. Like we'll start doubling that, and then they let their guys start racking up the fouls. They're like, all right, well, if the play, like if we can't stop him or like deny a ball or something like that, let's just make sure he just doesn't score. And I think
yeah,
both their big guys, the Johnson fouled out, I believe is the one guy's name, and then Klingon had 4, if not fouled out late, but I think he actually stayed in the rest of the game. I think he's played
yeah.
before the rest. But
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was an enjoyable first half to watch, but the second half, I mean, it was kind of written like after 5 minutes, you knew UConn, this game's over.
they just started
So
gradually pulling.
yeah, they just gradually pulled away, and once they got up by 12 with like 10 minutes left, it's 12 points in a college basketball game, which seems ridiculous, but it felt like insurmountable. That's how much better and well rounded they felt. Like they just didn't have any holes. They could play any type of game. And look, they lost like 3 dudes to the NBA last year, and they retooled and refired, and now they just won the national championship again in crazy fashion. I don't know how many guys are going to go to the NBA from this team, but I would have confidence that UConn's going to be back next year. I haven't seen
Yeah,
anything tell me otherwise.
seems like he has a great culture going on there.
Yeah,
Hopefully Maryland can build that, because I saw we got some transfers coming in here that I don't know a ton about, but I mean it seems like Maryland Twitter's excited about them. A Virginia Tech guard, a Belmont guard. We got the number 1 or number 2 overall center in the country. So hopefully, I
yeah,
mean, we give him a lot of credit. Hopefully Willard's trying to instill a culture, because I mean now he's finally starting to get guys that are his and not detergents. So
yeah.
we'll see.
While Brian's gone, I'm sure he'll be back in a sec. You want to talk about Calipari? We were just in Kentucky this weekend, and we didn't hear anything about this. I got this text not last night, maybe 2 nights ago, and I was like, "What the fuck? Calipari to Arkansas?" What do you think, Brooks?
It happened in the middle of the night, and also I texted one of our mutual friends, Brian Williams, that is a Kentucky grad, huge Kentucky fan, and I'm like, "Hey, you hanging in there? Everything okay?" Um, and apparently this deal's not officially done yet, because he's probably looked into this a whole lot more than I have. But
Yeah.
apparently it's not done. But I mean, if they're announcing this on ESPN and stuff like that, it's got to be done. I also heard that the buyout's coming from Arkansas grad Jerry Jones is paying for that buyout.
Yeah, I was wondering how that would work. I would imagine the reason they're trying to finalize this deal with Arkansas is because of that weird lifetime contract that Calipari signed with Kentucky.
Mhm.
And I assume I don't know which side is going to have a tougher time getting out of it, but I assume somebody's going to have to get paid off here.
Yeah, that's why Jerry Jones is in on this. Apparently, he's
Okay.
doing that $30 million buyout. That's the rumor that I've seen, that he's paying for the $30 million buyout to Kentucky to get him in. But I'm not 100% sure. But I'm also interested to see if this is actually done, because I know, like I said, our friend who's pays a lot of attention, obviously, huge Kentucky fan, is saying like, yeah, it's not officially done yet. So
It
we'll
seems
see.
like it's done to me because if these kids are starting to go into the transfer portal because they want to follow Coach Cal to Arkansas, that means that Coach
Yeah.
Cal has probably said something to them and said, "Hey, look, it's done. I'm going."
Yeah.
It's
I think it'll be
gotta be done. Like, even if it's not done, the fact that this came out, like, you kind of lost the locker room now.
Oh yeah, it's
I
over.
think
So
it was like it'd be interesting to see if he was kind of forced out or if he wanted out, how that plays out, if we get more information to that about that coming moving forward. But I think there's been frustration for Kentucky fans for the last 5 years. They haven't performed in the tournament, but that's the kind of team he has. He has that, like Foy was saying, I think on our podcast a few weeks ago, when I asked if that question if Calipari's cooked. I think it's just the teams he builds they're freshmen and they're kind of top heavy, and this year they were just basically 3 point or bust, and that team can win you a national championship or it can lose in the first round. And that's kind of a product of the way he builds teams.
I mean,
I just think the whole thing is super weird that it came out at midnight and all that.
yeah,
That's
and,
bizarre to
and
me.
NIL fucked Calipari big time because he was doing NIL before NIL, and then
Yeah.
people mastered his game of one and done more than he could master it. And people adjust, adapt or die society.
yeah. I mean, it just leveled the playing field. Um,
Yeah.
so anyway,
Yeah.
we'll see. It's been pretty quiet news wise from that. We haven't heard a ton, just like the news broke, but that's about it. So
Yeah.
it'll
The
be
news broke and
interesting
then
to see
everything
how
went
that
quiet.
plays out. Yeah.
Yeah. Other stuff I want to get to before we do our master stuff. Stefan Diggs, Heather, traded to the Houston Texans for a second rounder. There was some pick swaps late. We don't really need to talk about that. It's not a huge deal. But yeah, second round pick for Stefan Diggs. What do you guys think this means for Buffalo first, and then we'll talk about Houston.
For Buffalo, it's addition by subtraction. They're paying, if he would have played for them this year, they would have paid $3 million less than to get rid of him like they did. So I think it is a good move for Buffalo. There is definitely some smoke and fire going on behind the scenes between him and Josh Allen, or maybe him and Sean McDermott. So I think it is a good move for Buffalo.
Yeah, I just don't know who are they freeing up all this cap room for.
So here's the thing about this. So they're not freeing up cap room. They're actually losing $3 million in cap room from this, but they are freeing up real money. They basically they would have had to pay him $18 million at the end of this season, which they don't have to pay him anymore. That's going to go on to Houston, but they're taking the $3 million cap hit. So in real world money, the Buffalo Bills are saving $18 million, but in salary cap money, they're losing $3 million in the Houston.
Yeah, but they must be wanting to make a splash here soon with not like releasing the vets, getting rid of him. And Von Miller came back on a restructured he either restructured or re-signed at a very team friendly deal. And
Yeah.
I don't see him going to play for somebody who doesn't think they're going to be a contender. So very interested to see. I'm sure they got something coming up their sleeve because they essentially have no weapons besides their tight ends at this point.
I think the Bills are done. I think they're cooked. Looking at the
they're
moves that got
retooling,
made,
yeah.
they're I don't want to say rebuild because you have Josh Allen, but they're if it was my team, I would not feel confident in the Buffalo Bills.
I don't think full rebuild because I think basically if you have Josh Allen, I think he's one of the best 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the league, and when you have that kind of player, you always have a chance to win.
Yeah.
But I think more of a retooling year. I don't think that it's like they're not going all in on the Super Bowl this year and next year. I think they're realizing like, okay, we're going to have to make this decision at some point. Let's do it now, rip off the Band-Aid, and then get in a new culture of guys while we still have Josh Allen. And I think this year they're going to take a little bit of a step back, and I think they're probably expecting that. But like I said, if they have Josh Allen, they can still win games because he's that good.
I think the real money freedom that you were talking about, Dusty, which, by the way, phenomenal information. I think they re-signed Ed Oliver, the D tackle. He's a stud.
Yeah, he's a stud.
Yeah, so I think they probably should allocate some of that money toward him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So T. Higgins is still available, right?
He's on the Bengals, but he's actively they're actively looking for a trade for him.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So that I'm wondering if that's a trade, so they don't even know they'd have to give up draft picks, and I don't think they're going to do that at this point.
Yeah.
If they're going to, why not go after Justin Jefferson? But
I don't think T. Higgins,
I don't
personally,
know.
I don't think T. Higgins is getting moved.
Yeah.
I don't. Because I think the Bengals are going to want too much for him. I think they're just next year going to let him walk and take the comp pick for him and just say sayonara. Because best case scenario right now, they're giving it's 1 year and it's a franchise tag, so it's a ton of money. So if you're going to trade for T. Higgins at this point, we think T. Higgins is a great player, but we've seen great players go for lower round draft picks. I think he's going to get a 3rd or 4th rounder. And I think the Bengals are just saying, fuck that. We're just going to run it back and see if we can win this year. And then next year we'll get the comp pick and we'll get a 3rd or 4th rounder anyway.
Yeah, you're going to get a 3rd round. You're going to get a 3rd round comp pick for T. Higgins. I mean, because that's the highest you can go in comp picks.
That's a good point. I don't think T. Higgins is that motivated to go anywhere because he's getting franchise tagged. He's motivated to get a long-term contract. So that's probably got to be a part of the trade that wherever he's going, he's getting a long-term contract out of it. So I think you're right. He's in a good situation right now with Jamar Chase and Burrow and the weapons they have there. So I think that's a good call.
Receivers are a dime with that. Receivers are a dime a dozen in the draft. I mean,
apparently this draft's loaded from what everyone's saying.
And the last couple of drafts, we've had rookies come in the last 3 or 4 years at a historic rate, put up great numbers. Jordan Addison, Puka Nacua last year are just the 2 names that came to my head right away. Really, obviously, more guys. Flowers.
Really, since the Jamar Chase Burrow draft, I feel like every draft has receivers that are studs right away.
Studs receivers, yeah. And then this year, there's 3 bona fide number 1 prospects. They're saying maybe even 4 with Brian Thomas if you count him.
While we're on top of the receivers, real quick, and I'm going to go off script here for a second. I want to give credit. Rashid Rice. We talked about it last week on the podcast.
Yeah, we should have a good call.
He might have got put in the corner because of the cam footage. Good form coming out and just flat out fucking admitting it. Because instead of hiding it, instead of hiding behind your lawyer and your legal team, he did the right thing. And sometimes you got the right thing, you have the easy way, and you have the right way. And a lot of people take the easy way. He did the right way. And I want to commend a man for at least doing the right thing.
Yep. Yeah. Did it take longer than it should have? Yes. But he did it. I think he's done everything that he can possibly do at this point in time to right the ship here. So we gotta retract some of our statements from some of the other podcasts that we talked to move out a little bit and give him some props here. So that's a good call there.
Totally agree. Good call, bro. Before we get into golf, WrestleMania was this weekend. Did you guys see anything?
I didn't see any of it.
Dustin follows it a lot more. I saw, I didn't see actually. From listening to McAfee's podcast, I saw Cena came back, Undertaker came back. I didn't see what actually happened. Which is kind of cool from our childhoods. That's kind of the realm where we grew up with those guys.
Yeah.
Anything else happen that you can think of that would
Yeah, no,
be
I
entertaining to
think it
us?
was.
Really?
Yeah, no, I think no, as you hit the nail on the head. I think it's like Philly went crazy. The last match was kind of like a shit show match. And The Rock came out, and then The Undertaker came out, and then John Cena came out. So it was just kind of one of those like nostalgia bomb kind of things. But Philly was all in for it, and the the crowd went nuts, which is always good for
I
wrestling. The
heard.
best thing for
Yeah.
wrestling is when the crowd is going crazy. That's how you feel the energy, and that's how wrestling
When they
goes.
get that pop out of the tunnel, that's
Oh
the
yeah.
best thing in the world. And
Why do I
and,
I
and
think
Dusty, I guess Dusty Rhodes' son is the new one of the new
correct.
superstar
Yeah,
guys.
Cody
Okay,
Rhodes. Yeah, he
that's
won
cool.
the main event match. Um,
Cool.
but yeah, it's great. In wake of all the Vince McMahon weird stuff that's happened in the last 6 months, it kind of felt like wrestling was going to go into like kind of a tailspin. And Triple H, who we know as Triple H, they're now calling him Paul Levesque, which is his real name, has kind of taken over the creative control of the company, and he's brought it back, and they're doing great things, and it's good. It's good. It's good for wrestling to be
Yeah,
fun.
Why do I
it's
picture
basically
Dusty watching? I picture Dusty watching WrestleMania and like wetting his hair and like flipping it back, like going like
I mean,
X-Pac.
I had too many beers in college as a freshman and definitely did that a few times for sure.
I
um,
think he did. I think he did that a couple times out of college.
yeah, well, whatever, maybe.
But
um,
yeah, so that's another thing I heard, that like basically Triple H and The Rock have kind of taken this over, and then I heard on McAfee's podcast yesterday that Cena is making like a little last run here too, and so that's kind of cool.
yeah,
It sounds like they're trying to get past that Vince McMahon phase a little quicker, and it sounds like that Cena wants to be involved in the company long term as well. So that's kind of cool that the big names are gonna be taking over and creating the stories, if you will.
Dusty, you know way more about this than either of us would. Is Vince McMahon completely out? I know he had the sexual allegation thing
he
going.
is he
What's
is for
going
all
on there?
intents and purposes completely out now. Yeah, I would imagine behind the scenes he's got some sort of something
Mhm.
because his son-in-law and his daughter are running the company now. But I think for all intents and purposes, like he doesn't have any more ownership stakes. He sold off all of his stuff to Endeavor, and with the UN, they merged with the UFC. And the parent company Endeavor is owns all of it now, or most of it. So I don't think he has any more control, but I wouldn't be surprised if behind the scenes, I'm sure he's, they're calling him and say like, hey, what did you think about this kind of thing? Whatever. He's Vince
There,
McMahon.
I,
He has
I,
knowledge.
I, yeah, I would assume they're still going to be bouncing ideas.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think he's still going to be like, "Hey, you got to listen to me," because everyone's going to be like, "Okay, go fuck yourself. You don't own anything
Yeah.
anymore. I can do what I want." But also, Triple H is his son-in-law,
Yeah.
so I mean,
Yeah.
They're having dinner.
it's gonna, yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
they're
They're having
talking.
dinner. Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
but the fact that you hear like in the bars and in the restaurants, you hear women talking about WrestleMania. You hear like young kids talking about WrestleMania. That's a big deal because
yes.
wrestling
Pretty,
was very dormant for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, it was
they were saying like
18
it's
to
more
35
popular
male.
now for yeah. They're
Yeah. I
saying
mean,
it's more popular now than it has been since the Attitude era,
yeah,
pretty much.
breaking all kinds of records. And look, obviously having The Rock and John Cena and The Undertaker is going to help your ratings, but
You're gonna
we'll
bring
see if
people
they
like
can.
us back.
Yeah, see if they can keep those ratings with the younger guys if they attract an audience enough to stay.
Is The Rock
And
the
that's what
biggest
their
action
goal is.
star that we have now?
I think he has been, yeah, for a while. I can't think of anybody that would be maybe Vin Diesel. I
Not
mean,
even close.
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
punch you through this computer screen.
What? Vin Diesel? How much money have those movies made? Just tell me. I
They have like a
understand that
car
he's
in
not the
space.
best. Who cares? People go to see it, man. Um, yeah, I
Oh.
don't know. I'd have to think about that more. Jason Statham, but he's not
Yeah.
as big of a deal. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're gonna get to the meat of the podcast here, which is golf. It is Masters Week, fellas.
That's just sweet.
Hello, friends.
Hello,
um,
friends.
yeah. I quickly want to go over last week's results just because the end was freaking awesome, and we had a guy from Maryland in the playoff, but Valero Texas Open, TPC San Antonio. very infamous for being one of the harder courses that they play on tour throughout the year. And as a result, usually the winner of this doesn't exactly translate to the success at Augusta, which is why a lot of top guys haven't played in this tournament. But this year we had a lot of top guys playing, but really the story was Akshay Bhatia, young lefty, needed to win to get into the Masters and just came out of the gates just firing. He was like 16 under in his first 3 rounds. And then Denny McCarthy from Rockville, Maryland, Georgetown prep grad, just went completely nuclear on the back nine on Sunday. Shot course record 28 on the back. That's pretty easy. It's pretty good. Birdie's last 7 holes in a row to force a playoff, but then he dumped one in the water on the first playoff hole, and Bhatia ended up winning. McCarthy had already qualified for the Masters, and Bhatia needed the win, so really it worked out. But McCarthy has now 176 starts on tour with no wins, so kind of feel for that guy a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. Did you guys watch any of this, or were you just kind of focused more on the Orioles and the upcoming Master stuff?
Watch none of it. This is always a dead tournament to me. I understand it's important for a guy that wins to get into the
Yeah.
Masters, but I didn't watch any of it.
Yeah.
I know they call it the warm up, but this is always the one that I'm looking past as well because I think everyone's excitement is for this week. But good for Bhatia. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that he had to win and he fucking did it and came out of the gates and pretty much held the lead the entire time. Also heard that he dislocated his shoulder celebrating before the playoff or something.
He did, on the 18th.
Yeah.
He had to get it taped up in the middle of the playoff hole, which was super weird. But he said he was fine. I guess he's rehabbing it, and he's going to play this week, from everything I've heard.
Probably just slipped in and out.
Yeah, really weird. I don't know exactly how that works and how much of a rehab that is, but I can't imagine it feels good. But yeah, we're gonna get into some Masters stuff here. I have categories of players. At the end, we're gonna do a draft, but I want to talk about some guys here. Just give a little in-depth look at some of these guys, and get your guys' feedback on what you guys have seen too. But yeah, so the favorites, the top 3 guys, and really these have been the top 3 golfers in the world over the last couple of years. If you look at all the numbers and all the statistics, it's Scottie Scheffler, it's Rory McIlroy, and it's Jon Rahm. Jon Rahm is the defending champion, but Scottie Scheffler is in the middle of the most dominant run the sport has seen since Tiger Woods in the early 2000s. He's playing this good of golf. He is 4-1, 5-1 to win, depending on what you look. It's impossible to bet on a golfer at those odds. What do you guys think of these top 3 guys?
I want Rory to win so bad that I am so biased, jaded, that I really shouldn't even have an opinion. I just want Rory to win so bad.
Brooks is going to hate that because Brooks hates Rory, but I also love Rory.
I mean, he's got to win it at some point. Christ.
Yeah.
I mean, why not this? I mean, he did miss the cut last year. He's playing okay this year so far, right? He's
playing okay, but last week he came in third. So he just came in third in this tournament last week.
Yeah, he was minus 11.
I want Rory to win really bad, but I'd rather Sergio Garcia fall into a pond without his water wings on and drown. So, I want Rory to win.
Sergio Garcia and Patrick Reed could just come in second to last and dead last. That would be great for me. Yeah. I'd be happy with that. But golf needs bad guys. Golf needs heels. Look what The Rock just did to wrestling. He came back as a heel. It helps. I do want to read some Rory stuff. He did miss the cut last year, but in the 9 tournaments he played before last year, in the 9 previous Masters he played before last year, he never finished outside of the top 25. He finished in the top 10, 7 out of 9. He has a second place finish there. It's the only major he hasn't won. He would be the first golfer to ever get his Grand Slam after this long of a layover between his first three major wins, the other 3 majors. Apparently
it's been like 10 years, 11 years,
2014, I believe. He won 4 majors, I think, between 2012 and 2014, and then he just kind of petered out. He's been he's been competitive. He came in second at the British a couple years ago. Came in second at the U.S. Open last year. He probably should have won that tournament.
But there's been a ton that he's just, it's like the guys that beat him put up like ridiculous world shattering numbers. It's like, what the fuck do I have to do?
Yeah.
So I feel for him in that sense. But.
I feel for him for sure. Yeah. Apparently he never plays in the tournament they played this week in San Antonio. But he's doing stuff differently this year because he didn't have success at Augusta last year. So he called Butch Harmon, who's a legendary swing coach, used to work famously with Tiger Woods. He's been working with him for a couple weeks. He played in this tournament. He came in third this past week. So he's changing up some stuff. He's trying new things. He's put different putters in the bag throughout the year, trying to find something. So look, he's one of the most well-rounded and most talented golfers we've seen. Especially recently. And at some point, I think it's just going to happen for him at this tournament. And I mean, why not this year? We'll see.
I got
Scottie
a question.
Scheffler could be that reason.
Dusty, it's not in your rundown right here, but I got a question while we're on the golf and Masters topic. How about Justin Thomas going away from Bones with Kai right before the Masters? That's kind of odd.
Really, really bizarre timing for the split, I would say. Something that either was coming up to surface for a while, or something that Justin Thomas was like, look, I'm just not happy with this performance anymore. The guy he got on his bag, I believe, used to caddy for Keegan and Cantlay. I know Cantlay. I'm not sure about Keegan, but a couple of guys who've been professionals for a long time. I think it's super weird, super bizarre, to be honest with you.
I guess it could also just be like he just needs a change after the past year and a half of not playing consistent or great golf.
Yeah.
So maybe it's that. I don't know. How long has Bones been on his bag since he's been a professional?
Oh no. His dad was on his bag for a long time, and then I think Bones came in like 2 years ago.
I was gonna say 2 or 3 years, I would say.
So maybe they just both realized it wasn't a good fit and just trying something different. So
I mean,
just weird, weird timing.
It's changing your quarterback right before the Super Bowl. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It is weird. For those of you who aren't familiar, by the way, Bones was famously a longtime caddy for Phil Mickelson, won a ton of majors together. And he worked for Golf Channel for a long time before coming out of semi-retirement to get onto Justin's bag a couple years ago.
Got into a screaming match with Rory last year at the Ryder Cup outside.
Really. Actually, funny enough, Akshay Bhatia's caddy this week was the first time they had ever played in a tournament together, and he won. So look, this stuff can be weird, and but yeah, maybe Justin Thomas is just looking for a change. Yeah, one guy we haven't talked about in the top of these favorites is Jon Rahm. Obviously, we don't have a lot of data on him this year. Him playing on Live, there's just not as much information. But there's no doubt in my mind that he's one of the best 5 golfers in the world still, and he is the defending champion. And he has history of playing well here, and I mean, you can't at 11-1. I mean, the fact that he's the third highest odds to win. I mean, I think that's pretty crazy. He's the defending champion. But yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, I love Jon Rahm. I can't count him out ever. I mean, even when he's playing bad golf, like the guy can storm back really, really quickly. So yeah. Do I think it's that crazy? I mean, no, because Scheffler deserves to be the best odds. But I'm surprised Rory's second best odds, to be honest with you. But yeah, I think Rahm should be second best odds probably, since he's defending champion here.
You put a gun to my head, I'm taking Koepka. He just seems to play really well in big moments, and especially at that course.
He hasn't won this one either, so this is one he wants to win.
Yeah, Koepka's 20-1. Like I don't know if I said this earlier, but these odds are from Sunday. Monday, the day before we're recording this. So they may have changed slightly. I know Matsuyama's odds have changed a little bit, and Adam Scott's odds have changed a little bit, but we're going to go off the odds that I have on the paper just for consistency's sake. And then obviously, if you guys want to gamble on stuff, Do that at your own risk, and knowing that these odds might be just a little bit different. But yeah, Koepka, he's never won at Augusta, but he's won 5 majors. He knows how to win, and he's coming second here twice. Other than the 2 years he was hurt, his 6 finishes in the Masters are 2nd, 7th, 2nd, 11th, 21st, and 33rd. So
Pretty good.
this is a guy who has a really good history at this course, who's obviously one of the best players in the world over the last 10 years, and has a history of just turning it on in majors, especially when people don't think he is in the best form. So yeah, I think I'm going to be betting on him, or at least having him involved in some top 10 stuff, some top 5 stuff.
Yeah.
And if you guys do daily fantasy lineups, he wouldn't be a bad guy to have at the top of your card.
He's been back into form now for about a year and a half since because he won a major last year, obviously. So
yeah,
so he's kind of is back. I mean, probably maybe not the same form as he was, but I mean, he's back to being able to compete and everything.
Yeah,
so definitely a guy I'll be rooting for, as well as DJ. So those two.
Let's get to Brooks, Dustin, and
let's
Brian. Our podcast, Brooks, Dustin, and Brian Harmon, Brooks Koepka, and Dustin Johnson.
How cool would that be if that's like 1, 2, 3?
That would
we should
be awesome.
do something. We should do something with like which one of them, whoever finishes the highest, like with our name. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we could think of something there. I just saw like they're all right next to each other on our rundown sheet, and I was just like, "What the fuck? This is so weird."
I'm fucked. I got Brian Harmon. You get Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka.
Dude, I'll trade. Can I have Brian Harmon? You can have Dustin Johnson. Brian Harmon is my guy since he won the Open last year. He's at 60 to 1 to win this thing. He should be more like in the 30 to 35 range of players. He's too good of a player.
He's been scorching hot.
This course has a history of catering to left-handed players because most of the holes move right to left, and it is a lot easier to cut the golf ball than it is to draw the golf ball consistently. So former left-handed winners here, Mike Weir, Phil Mickelson, Bubba Watson, a couple of those won a couple green jackets. So I like him at 65 to 1, and I think 12 to 1 for a top 5 sounds really, really great because he's been performing.
If Brian Harmon wins, we're spraying champagne on the next podcast. I'm just going to throw it out.
That's 100%. We will be doing that. Another one of these guys in the familiar faces range, Jordan Spieth. He's got a really weird history. I have down in the notes here. He's definitely the weirdest golfer I've ever seen. I think for a long time people didn't even know if he was good at golf or he was just the luckiest dude on the planet and he was just really good at putting. But he's a wizard around the greens, and this course, you need to be a wizard around the greens. And look, he could literally come in dead fucking last year. He could win. You could tell me I would have no idea. But he has 6 top 5 finishes in this tournament, including a win. So you have to mention him. And I wrote in this rundown, one thing's always been clear about him. If his putter gets hot, watch out because you just can't stop him.
I think he'll never win another Masters. This is my personal opinion. He'll never win another Masters. Every single time he steps with the whole 12, he has to think about that debacle that occurred 6 years ago. I mean, he has to look at that. That has to be his years.
Yeah. Another thing about him, by the way, he is only 30 years old. So he has been in our life for a long time. But he's got 4 majors and he's 30. He had 4 majors when he was 25. Yeah. But look, he's still a young guy, still got a long way to go in his career. I think he'll probably win another major. I don't necessarily know if it'll be a Masters. I think he needs the PGA to complete the career Grand Slam.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just such a, like I said, he could come in dead last or he could come in first, and I wouldn't be surprised either way.
My sentimental pick, I want Xander Schauffele. I want Schauffele to win one bad.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about him on the podcast. I have him and kind of Cantlay lumped together here. Look, they're just guys that are always around the hoop, but they can't finish. Yeah. They're guys that I probably I think I personally would put if you parlay them both to top 20. I think you get something like plus 250, which I think is probably a good bet. They're most likely both going to be in the first couple pages of the leaderboard, but until they prove it in a major championship, I'm out on those guys. Brooks, what do you think about those guys?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not a big Cantlay fan in general, but I think everybody kind of loves Xander Schauffele.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really hope he wins. That's another guy I'll be rooting for as well. But yeah, we've talked about it enough. Like, hopefully he can get the monkey off his back and actually finish one of these.
Yeah. We're going to go down to the long shots. These are going to be guys in like the 50 to 100 to 1 range. Actually, before we do that, I want to talk real quickly. Hideki Matsuyama this season, his last 5 tournaments,
Hot.
T20, T22, W, T12, T6, T7. This is a guy who won here 3 or 4 years ago. His odds have dropped from 30 to 1 to 25 to 1 to 20 to 1 in the past 7 days. So if you want to get on Matsuyama, do it now, because people are just going to start hammering him. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he finishes in the top 10.
I love Asians.
I bet you love that his caddy bowed after he won that 1 year. Oh man. Going to the long shots. Hardly a long shot. I wrote on our rundown. Cam Young, who finished T7 here last year and also just finished second in his most recent start, which was at the Valspar a couple weeks ago, is 50 to 1. I think it's crazy. Obviously, same thing. He hasn't won, but he's come in second something like 7 or 8 times in the past 2 or 3 years. He absolutely hammers the golf ball. He's going to be able to take ridiculous angles. And he is as good of a drawer of a golf ball as there is on tour. And that's why him and Rory are heavily considered favorites in this kind of tournament. Just because like I said, the holes move a lot from right to left, and it's a distinct advantage to be able to do that kind of thing. So I think he's worth mentioning at 50 to 1. Russell
He's a
Henley,
guy I can't believe hasn't won more. Like, every time I watch him,
at all,
like, this guy's so fucking good.
It's so good.
I guess yeah.
He's
and
a
we
bridesmaid.
talked about sponsored by Major League Baseball, so he's our guy a little bit.
He is the epitome of a bridesmaid. He always comes in second.
Yeah, but look, he's in his early 20s. He was the PGA Tour Rookie of the Year 2 years ago. So look, he's only been in golf for a couple years. So he's going to get his at some point too. And a couple more guys I want to mention in the 50 to 100 range. Russell Henley, maybe a guy you haven't heard of, or you briefly heard of, you don't know much about. He's got 3 top 5s in his last 7 starts. And last year at Augusta, he came in 4th. So look, we're looking at a guy who's in good form, who played good at this tournament last year. He's plus 175 to top 20. I think that's a joke. I think it should be like closer to even money. I think that's a great bet. If you want to put that in a parlay leg, I think you can throw that into a parlay leg. I think that's a great one. Or you can bet it straight up. Also, Adam Scott. I think his odds dropped from 80 to 70 to 1, but look, he's Mr. Consistent. He's played in this tournament 22 times, and he's got 20 cuts made. He's having a great season so far. He always plays well here. He's won here. He's coming second here. 20 out of 22 cuts. I can't believe he's played in 22 Masters. Isn't that crazy?
Come here, Kirsten.
What's going on?
You're getting catcalled, babe. He said, no. Come on, babe. Come on over.
Yeah. You probably never heard of Russell Henley, but you've probably seen his name a ton, to be honest with you. He's always another one of those guys that doesn't get a lot of TV time, but he's finishing up there in a lot of these tournaments.
Sounds like he went to private school. That's all I got.
Well,
Adam Scott's pretty old now at this point, but he's played this a ton. I just don't see him doing much.
If older players are going to win a major, it's this one. I think history has told us that. And he, like I said, he's got a good history here, but we're all excited to see what shade of tan or beige he wears with this tournament. He's all earth tones all the time. He doesn't do anything. He never gets out of his comfort zone.
The guy knows his colors. He knows his color palette.
I never thought I'd hear Dustin say
very
Earth
safe.
Tones in my life.
Yeah. And then real quickly before we do our draft, I'll run through a couple of. I have them as the Longfellows. That's a little bit of a Longfellow Deeds reference.
Well done.
Above a
Well
little
done.
long shots. Ricky Fowler is playing in his first Masters since 2020. He's 9 out of 10 in cuts made. He's got 5 top 12 finishes in his 10 starts. So this is a guy who's not been playing
right now, though.
Not been playing great, but almost had a chance to win the U.S. Open last year and has a really good history playing here. Eldrick Taunt Woods, otherwise known as Tiger, if you may have heard of him, is 140 to 1 to win this golf tournament, which he has done 5 times.
He's going back. He started at 100.
Yeah, he's going back. The odds are not in his favor.
And from watching live at the Masters on TV, everyone's been saying how well he's swinging his clubs right now. So I'm surprised he's dropping in odds.
Look, he's the background on my phone. He's my favorite athlete of all time. But let's be realistic. I think him making the cut at a major is a win at this point. If he competes, that's just the best thing ever. But we can't expect
him walking
consistently.
Him walking all 72 holes at this point is going to be a win.
Yeah, I'm rooting for him. I hope he wins. That would be fucking awesome. I would win so much money because I am stupid and I'm going to bet on him blindly, even though I know it's a bad idea. But it would be great for golf, but it's not realistic to expect much out of him this week. Brian, what do you think about Tiger?
I think he's becoming an ambassador for golf. He's not much of a golfer anymore. He's more of an ambassador. That's what like, as simple as I can put it.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't for how hilly and how disgustingly hard it is to walk this course, even for people who aren't injured, he would have more of a chance. But yeah, I mean, look, it's a win when he doesn't withdraw from the tournament, really, at this point.
Yeah, and that I was going to ask that question. Is there a prop bet on if he withdraws?
I would imagine there is. I haven't looked. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I could it's one of those things where I could go out and I could see him shooting like a 69, being -3 at the beginning of the day and being on the first page of the leaderboard. And then every day from there, it just gets a little bit harder on him because I
could just see him getting tired.
But luckily the weather is looking good. And obviously, if you're hurt, hotter weather is good for you. So it seems like he hasn't played in a hot weather tournament in forever. He seems like he's always got a sweatshirt on or he has COVID or something. But yeah, he's yeah. I mean, we had to talk about Tiger because why wouldn't we? He's the best. But yeah, like I wouldn't have too high of expectations. 3 more guys: Harris English, Nick Taylor.
I might title this "Tiger's winning the Masters this year."
You can go ahead, get the clickbait.
If you say Nick Taylor one more fucking time, I'm gonna stab you in the heart.
He's 200 to 1. He's 200 to 1. He's 200 to 1.
That is kind of nuts. That is nuts because he's playing. Obviously, he's been playing really well for a year, 2 years now.
I want Dustin to move to Canada. Get the fuck out of the city. Go to Canada, you fucking asshole.
Look, the fact that Phil Mickelson has better odds to win this tournament than Nick Taylor does is a fucking crying shame.
Nuts.
It's absolutely ridiculous. I hit Brian Harmon on a 200 bet last year. Look, it was 180. Now it's 200. Phil Mickelson's going up. He finished second last year out of fucking nowhere. Some miracle happened. That's not happening again this year. I'm going to be betting on Phil to miss the cut because fuck that guy. I'm going to be betting on Nick Taylor to make the cut because I love that guy. And also Harris English has 5 starts this season. He's got 4 top 20. So if you want to put him on a daily fantasy lineup, he'd be a good leg there.
Did it move? Because you said that Phil has better odds than Nick, and you have it opposite on our rundown. It says 200 to 1 for Phil, and 180 to 1 for Nick. So they flopped pretty much.
Yeah, correct. So I'm looking now. No, they're actually now they're even. They're both at 200 to 1.
That's nuts. To win. That's fucking nuts.
Yeah, the fact that Nick Taylor has the same odds as Phil Mickelson is a shame. Yeah, I have overexposed him on this podcast, but look, he's a better golfer than that. He's just those odds are bad.
I can't talk to you, Brooks. I'm only talking to you directly. I'm not talking to Dustin.
Okay, so I have a little draft set up for us. I think it would be fun, just so we don't all end up with the same guys. I think it would be fun to do it like a snake style.
Sure.
So you can do So we're going to take 2 from the favorites tier, 2 from the middle tier, and 2 from the long shots tier. I have them listed down here. 25 to 1 or better would be our favorites. The middle would be 26 to 1 to 80 to 1. And then the long shots would be 81 to 1 or worse. And whoever has the best combined score to par at the end of the tournament will win an undetermined prize. Yeah, so.
And what about loser?
Pie?
Pie?
More pie.
Are we good? More pie?
Pie?
I'm good for pie. We can do a shaving cream pie, or we can do a dangerously delicious pie.
Yeah. I'll do a pie.
Or the loser. Yeah. Next time we do a
or
baseball
the winner,
challenge,
just
the loser.
The winner picks.
Oh yeah, let's do that. Winner gets
picks.
to pick what the loser does within reason. I'm not taking the SATs.
I'm not shaving my eyes.
And can somebody if you're watching this, somebody send us some suggestions too. We'll take all suggestions into consideration.
Yeah, we're idiots. We need help.
No tattoos, no shaving.
Yeah.
No tanning. All right.
Okay, so
if we pick your suggestion, we got new merch in.
Oh,
we'll send us some merch.
Gary Williams
awesome.
stole my lawn furniture pockets.
Did you mail them, Brooks?
Anyway, so
no, not yet. I just got them in like Wednesday, like the day we left for Kentucky. So I'll mail them this week at some point.
Got it. All right. So I heard what you said, Dusty.
Who wants to go first?
Who's picking first?
Let's do alphabetical order. Brian, Brooks, Dusty.
Yeah. So you go first, Dustin.
All right, so
No, you go first.
All right.
So you can
how'd you say we're doing this again?
You can pick from whatever tier you want. The rules are listed right there on the notes.
I got you.
You can pick from whatever tier you want in whichever order. But once the player is gone, he's gone.
Okay,
so
I'm going Rory. You're going
Rory. Okay, so that's in the favorites tier. Brian is going to go Rory.
Yeah, give me Scottie.
Wow. Yeah, I can't believe he didn't go first. But now I'm probably going to be looking at a long shot here. So 80 to 1 or below. You know what? Fuck you, Brian. Give me Nick Taylor.
Yeah, goddamn it.
Give me Nick Taylor at the long shot. I think that's a ridiculous odds for a long shot. And I get a wraparound pick here. So I'm going to take Adam Scott in my mid range as well.
Cool. It's a good call.
Brooksy, you're up.
Yeah, I'm trying to get everything pulled up at once here. What the hell? Where did it go?
If you go on the notes, all the stuff's
it's all popping up right now. I'm watching it pop up.
Yep. Yeah, so you just have one favorite pick so far, Brooks.
Yeah. So mid tier is plus 2,600 to 80.
Yeah.
And long shot. Let's go for.
Don't take him.
Give me Cam Young.
Cam Young. Okay.
Cam Young for your mid tier pick. That's a great pick.
I'm going Victor Hovland, mid tier.
Victor Hovland, mid tier. We didn't talk about him on the pod today. He's had a weird season, but obviously one of the more talented guys in the world. Getting him in the mid tier is great odds there.
And then long odds, right? Is Tyrrell Hatton.
Tyrrell Hatton. Okay. I like that. Newly acquired live superstar Tyrrell Hatton. And Brooks, it's back to you.
Give me Adam Hadwin for my long shot.
Where is he? Is he long? He's got to be a long shot, right?
He's plus 180.
180. Adam Hadwin. Also Canadian, by the way. All right, so I got to wrap around. I need some favorites. Scottie and Rory are gone. I'm going to take Brooks and Spieth. Back-to-back favorites.
And I will go. Really love how Joaquin Neiman's playing right now. Can't believe Cam Smith is that high. Give me Hideki.
Hideki will be a favorite pick for Brooks. That's a great pick. He's got Scheffler and Hideki, which is something that I picked in a different pool. All right, Bri, you're back. Actually, Bri, do you want Tyrrell Hatton? He was not a long shot. He's a mid-tier guy.
Is he a mid-tier guy? All right, then take that off, please. Can I redo?
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry, man.
You're good. So you get 3 picks here.
I can't say his name. Sahith Tegala.
Yeah. Sahith Theegala.
Tegala. Cool.
He's mid-tier, correct? 45-1. Okay, so your mid is done.
My mid is done. My long shot. Long shot.
Yeah, you need 2 of them at 80-1 or higher. Or 81-1 or higher.
I want Harris English.
I like it. Harris English.
And you know what?
Still have 1 more pick.
Just for shit's sake, give me Tig. Give me Tiger.
Tiger Woods, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe I didn't pick him. But I had to go Nick Taylor. It's good for the brand. Nick Taylor stole my lawn furniture podcast.
Yeah, really. Above 26.
So yeah, Brooks, you have a mid and a long shot. Brian, you have a favorite left, and I have a mid and a long shot as well.
Give me I gotta go Brian Harman.
Wow, that was my pick. Great pick, Brian Harman. He's a lefty. He's a bulldog. He's from Georgia. He's gonna play well. I don't know that I can sit here idly by while Justin Thomas is just not drafted. So I think Justin Thomas is going to be my guy here. I'm going to take JT in my mid-range.
Oh, is he mid-range? What's he at?
He's 35-1. And then I will take I have to take 1 more long shot. Let's take, you know what? I'm going to go with Tom Kim. I like Tom Kim a lot. As a long shot. I think he's a good pick for a long shot.
Doesn't sound Canadian. Wow.
No, he is not Canadian. I could have gone all Canada team. That would have been interesting.
Great.
The Hart Foundation.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with my heart instead of my head here.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Ricky?
Don't do it.
Give me Ricky, even though he's not playing well right now.
Yeah,
but give me Ricky.
Hold on.
I think that's.
I want to root. I'm gonna be rooting for him. So put him on my long shot.
Yeah. All right, Brian, you got a favorite, and then we're done.
Give me Xander.
Wow, Xander, Mr. 4th place. That's great. That's a good pick.
Go eat some poutine.
It's a good pick.
Look, I love Xander, but he always comes in 4th, man. I don't know.
Okay, so running down 4th place finish is great.
It's going to get you a good combined score to par. What we'll do, what we're going to have to do for missed cuts, let's just call that player like a +10.
+10. That's what I was going to say. The same thing.
That's cool. If your player misses the cut, he's an automatic +10.
I like that.
Yeah, and then after that, we'll do lowest combined score to par. Our 6 golfers, starting from me. My favorites are Brooks Koepka and Spieth. My mid-range guys are Adam Scott and Justin Thomas, and my long shots are Tom Kim and Nick Taylor. Brooks's favorites are Scottie Scheffler and Hideki
Nobody likes
Matsuyama.
Rahm to repeat.
Nobody picked John Rahm.
That's stunning.
Brooks's
hard,
favorites are Scheffler and Matsuyama. We got mid-tier Cam Young and Brian Harmon. Long shots Adam Hadwin and Ricky Fowler. I actually really like his team. I actually really like all these teams. Brian's team, Rory McIlroy and Xander Schauffele up top. Victor Hovland and Sahith Tigala in the mid-tier. And Harris English and Tiger Woods coming up on the long shots. Tiger Woods.
I can't believe Tigala is a mid-range.
I know.
I feel like he's always in the running.
I did limit the ranges a little bit, but look, you taking the top guys.
Yeah.
Is Finau in this tournament? I know it's a small field.
Yeah,
he is. Yes,
He's in the range.
Tony Finau is 35, 40 to 1 ish.
Right.
I'll tell you, actually, his updated odds right now are 35 to 1 to win.
Okay.
Yeah, another guy we didn't talk about, just real quick, Will Zalatoris is having a little bit of a bounce back here after back surgery. And he's one of those guys that always shows up in the big tournaments. He had a good run with Matsuyama at the Genesis earlier this year.
This is where he made his name a couple of years ago.
Yeah. But yeah, that's our Masters preview. You guys want to just give your pick to win real quick? Outside of this draft, just who do you got?
Who do I got? I am going to be pulling heavily for Koepka. Probably is going to be the one. Koepka and Xander are going to be all right. So are we just doing what? Is this going to be?
Just make your pick.
Or who we pulling?
Make your pick. Make your pick.
All right, give me Koepka.
Rory.
Brooks wants Brooks. Brian wants Rory. I want Rory to win. I want Brian Harmon to win. I really want Nick Taylor to win so I can shove it in your freaking face, Brian. But I'm just gonna be the idiot here. I'm gonna take Scheffler. He's the best golfer on the planet, and he's probably gonna win it by 5 strokes.
Take the chalk.
If I had to guess. That's what we got. If you guys have anything else you want to talk about from the week or anything else you want to bring up?
Another bet that we need to talk about at some point, whether that's now or whatever, if we're doing names, Brooks, Brian, and Dustin, whoever finishes higher there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Brooks, Brian, and Dustin Johnson would be Koepka. Yeah.
Also, the only other thing I just mentioned, we got merch.
Yeah, baby.
Let us know if you want to.
Hell yeah. We got merch.
If you're in the Baltimore area, I'm sending Brian, which most of our listeners are, I'm sure. I'm sending Brian a bunch of hats here this week. Hopefully he'll have them by next week. And
I'll wear it.
Yeah, reach out to us if you. What's that?
I'm gonna wear it all the time.
Yeah, and if you want any, and we're starting, let us know. Like if we're going through these, I want to get these another ordered as soon as possible. Just because there's a little bit of a turnaround time. If you're interested, let us know. So
yep. If you're in Ocean City and you're listening, I got 6. Yeah, reach out to me. If you're my friend, maybe I'll give you a discount.
I'm organizing the Chaucer Golf Tournament, and Gary Williams Stole My Lawn Furniture will be sponsoring a hole.
That's awesome. Yes, they will.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, Gary Williams.
I guess we gotta get polos made. Polos and koozies or something.
Oh
yeah.
Man.
I'm as excited as I could be. Tiger's playing, and this is a great field, and I absolutely love this tournament. Sunday is like my most religious day of the year.
Hey, say hi to Delaware Dave. He's on speaker.
What's up, Del?
What's up, Del?
Still going on. We're finishing up right now, big dog. I'll be over.
All right, get off. We need to get off this podcast before Delaware Dave kills Brian.
All right. See you, boys and girls. I got to rock and roll. All right.
All right. See you.